Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Hope you are having a fantastic day. If you're joining us live here on LinkedIn, happy Wednesday to you. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel afterwards, happy good morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whatever it might be. Thank you for joining us for another episode where we're talking about tools that you can use to become a more effective sales Sherpa, a guide, a trusted advisor for your prospects, for your clients, for your network. We've been doing this all October. Today is actually the wrap up of this series. And I couldn't think of anything better to do than have one of my good friends on with me, Robert Knop. Robert, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? And I love that you had to pause when you had to determine what day of the week it is, because I'm in the same boat every day. Like, oh, today is, I have no idea.
Yeah. 2020 has definitely messed with our heads in many, many ways. And, one of the things that it's done, and you and I have actually had this conversation before. You've been on the Beer Beats and Business podcast about how what we've dealt with in 2020 with the pandemic, with sheltering in place, social distancing, it's really not changed as much as it's really accelerated in terms of using digital, using virtual tools, all these things to engage. And so this whole month, we've been talking about how to position ourselves as, the sales Sherpa, as the trusted advisor. And a lot of that, of course, is about our human-to-human skills, but we've also touched on using tools like Zoom or LinkedIn to continue that conversation with people we want to influence. And so I want to talk today about some simple ways that people can actually be more human on this platform of LinkedIn, right? It's kind of meta. We're talking about LinkedIn on LinkedIn, but that's kind of how it goes.
Right.
And I guess I would just kind of maybe even throw out a broad open-ended question and go, when you're seeing people either do it really well or maybe not do it well on LinkedIn, as far as being human, what are you seeing? Like, what are the things that people should be focused on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that always comes to mind is engagement. It's social media, not anti-social media. So you have to talk to other people. I know from a financial advisor perspective, I work with a lot of financial services companies, and they're terrified about engaging a lot of the compliance teams. But there are ways that you can do it and still be compliant, as long as you're not sharing, say, market-based posts or engaging with that kind of content, because it would trigger a disclosure. Obviously, you can't do that. Right. But if someone started a new job or got promoted or opened a new business, those are not business to the firm. So thus you could talk about those really easily and not have any challenges from a compliance perspective.
Right. And I love that idea that we can, even on LinkedIn, which is considered kind of a business platform, talk about things that are more human-oriented or non-business oriented. And
Sure.
that still has a big impact on business as well, if you think about it, right? About that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having just conversations with people. We've talked about this in the past. I think so many people on LinkedIn in particular dive so quickly into a sales pitch. That's the first thing that they do is you see that even the invitations to connect, it's a sales pitch. It's like, hey, my company does X, call me if you want Y. You would never do that in real life. If you think of LinkedIn like a 24/7 networking event, you would never walk up to UD and say, hey, good to meet you. This is what I do. Let me know if you want to work with me. You would never do that.
Right.
But, so many people lead with that on LinkedIn. It's so much more about building relationships, finding those win-win situations. And to your part, that always starts with that human factor.
Right.
Just simple conversations that you would have. What I always tell salespeople is social media isn't reinventing the wheel. It's just moving the racetrack. So do everything that you would do offline, just bring it online. So all those great strategies and tactics you've been using for 20, 30, 40 years for some people, do that. Don't rethink it. Don't overthink it. Just do that same stuff on social media and you'll be successful.
I love that idea of you're not reinventing the wheel, just moving the racetrack. Because I mean, that's something that I've often said in describing how to use LinkedIn. You just said that the 24/7 networking event. It's like, would you be at whether it's a Chamber of Commerce event, a conference, just at a party, and walk up to somebody and just pitch them?
Right.
Exactly. And by the way, we've all met those people and we don't like them, right? but there is a way of having a human conversation with somebody, and then maybe it's like I make the connection to dating, right? The first date, you don't say, hey, this is going really well, you want to get married?
Right. Well, and it's funny if you think about it, even in terms of content, right? So many companies and individuals just talk about themselves. Right. Just talk about their products and services, and they use it like another PR channel. For Twitter, that part of that content is okay, but that's your only content on LinkedIn, that you're not going to be successful. You are that person that you just described, Dee, at the networking event, is just bragging and talking about themselves, saying how great they are, saying how great their company is. Eventually, that guy's standing in the corner alone because no one wants to talk to him. Because no one wants to talk to that guy. Don't be that guy. You know, it's about them on social. It's not about you. It's not about what you want to talk about. It's what can help your target audience, what's useful, powerful, relevant, and engaging to them. That's where you want to focus from a content perspective.
Yeah, I love that idea of making it about them. One of the things that I often share with, the whole Sales Sherpa concept is that a good Sales Sherpa helps people make decisions more easily, effectively, and with less risk. Especially in financial services, the way you do that, especially in the beginning, is not by telling them about your products or your services or whatever. It's showing that you can help them make good decisions, right? And so even having content that is not, here's our latest portfolio offering. It's, hey, here's something you should think about if you have kids that are going to go to college soon, right? Or if retirement's coming up, here's some content about helping you make better decisions about things that are important to you. I mean, is that what I'm hearing? Am I on the right path there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you really know your target audience, and that's always where you should start with from a sales and marketing perspective, is knowing your audience, you know what their pain points are. So your content is then very simple. It's just take those pain points, solve those pain points, and that's your content, solving those pain points.
Right.
You can definitely sprinkle in stuff about you and about your company from time to time, but it should be mostly about what your audience would want to hear versus, hey, this is how great I am.
No, nobody cares how great you are, right?
That's what I always say is, no one logged into LinkedIn today to learn about your products and services. Not a single person in the history of the world has ever done that. Like, I really hope I get pitched today on LinkedIn. No one's ever done that, right? They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to be stimulated, they want to find out new information, have their pain points solved. That's why people look at the content. They don't do it to say, oh wow, I really hope I can find the latest X technology. That's just not the reason they're there.
Right. To go back to your idea about it being kind of like an online networking event, I think about, let's take a chamber of commerce. And even if you have a national business, a lot of times you do participate in, a local organization. I know I do. You don't go to those events, especially after you've gone to the first couple, to be like, hey, I've really got to go talk to Joe about the latest in plumbing. You're like, I like Joe. I want to connect and engage with him on a human level. We might talk about business. When I do have a plumbing problem, I might give him a call, right? Because I have that relationship. But I love that. Nobody logs in to get pitched. I think you, in fact, post about this lately. One thing that I've done on LinkedIn, on a very tactical level, is my middle initials are in my LinkedIn name. So it says David J. P. Fisher. And so I know when somebody is using automation just to scrape my contact info and try to sell me something. And does
it come out as David JP, comma?
That's exactly right. It says, hi, David JP, blank. And I'm like, oh, come on,
Well, you saw what I did today, right? Where it was, they forgot to change the placeholder. So it says, dear, insert first name in parentheses, and then it had the text and it says something at insert their company name here. And it's just like, wow. So I wrote
the whole thing.
I love marketing automation templates. Sincerely, lead first name is how I signed it. So
well, and it's interesting. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot of training for people on how to actually be more effective on LinkedIn. So even having this conversation, I think, is so important, because people, they see those companies that are offering the automation services, right? And they see those companies saying, oh, we can get you 10 leads a week, right? In your mailbox. And that's what lead generation looks like on LinkedIn. And nobody wants to hear. I love when lead generation companies pitch me. I'm sure you get this too, using their tactics. So I get like these, the pitch that's maybe, hey, I see we're connected to the same people. We should connect. And then it's just pitch, you ignore that 2 days later. Hey, not sure if you got this, but I really want to connect with you. Right. And I'm like, I know what you're doing. But again, so many people don't know the right way of doing it, right? Because they're being sold a bill of goods by too many people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell when a lot of people have gone to a recent seminar by a quote unquote LinkedIn guru, because you'll get 100 different invitations to connect over the span of a month, and 20 of them will have the exact same language. So someone either bought a template, or there was some seminar that happened and everyone got the same messaging. But to switch gears from the bad to the good, instead of doing that, what you want to do is just take 2 minutes, open up someone's profile, find out what those commonalities are. And just like in the offline world, again, the best thing to do is find a connection in common. And LinkedIn's going to tell you who those second degree connections are. So if I pulled up your profile, Dee, I wouldn't actually write to you. I would say, okay, we've got 60 people in common. I would look through those 60 and ask for 1 or 2 of those folks, like, hey, would you mind introducing me to D? I'd love to talk to him about X and Y. Or can I use your name when I reach out? That is going to get you in the door so much faster than anything else. But it does take just a tiny bit of work. And I think people just want to set it and forget it. And that's the problem. And that doesn't work, again, in the offline world. So why would it work in the online world?
Yeah, I love that idea. And almost, I'll take you a step further and say, it's better to message 2 people with this shared connection by doing that research than 10 that you're just spraying and praying, right? You're actually going to be more effective with, even though it feels like it's taking longer because you're not getting the big numbers where you can just kind of click, 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 click. The likelihood of engagement and return way higher, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the best way to do it, and a lot of people don't know you can do this, you can actually send a 3-way message in LinkedIn messaging without being connected to one of those people. So if I knew you, but I didn't know, say, Jane Doe, and I said, hey, Dee, you're connected to Jane Doe, and you're connected to me, would you mind making a warm intro via 3-way message? You can start a message thread with both of us in it, and then I can talk to Jane in that message thread, even though I'm not connected with her. So that's the best way. Now that it takes some effort by you in that case, your buddy, so you better make sure it's a good relationship with that person if you're going to ask them to do that.
Right.
But I've gotten those situations before where, like, hey, can you make this intro? And they'll say, yeah, happy to do it. I'll even tell them how to do it and show them the steps and even give them the text to use. They'll cut, paste, send it. And then bam, this person's like, oh, wow, Dee says Rob's a good guy. I should talk to Rob. And suddenly we've got a conversation going where we would never have an opportunity otherwise in most cases. Oh, you froze. Did I lose you?
Yeah, no, and I love that. Or even what you said, I think earlier is a great thing. It's just, even because a lot of times we have LinkedIn connections we might not be very close with, instead of saying, hey, can you introduce me, even just saying, is it okay if I use your name? Right? Because then it doesn't take them any effort. They can also reach back and go, hey, I don't really even know that person. I don't think it's going to help. But a lot of times we'll be like, yeah, you can use my name. That's fine. Because it doesn't take them any effort. Like if you ask me for an introduction, I'll give it. But I'm like, okay, now I got to give me a day or two versus can I use your name? Absolutely. So, hey, we're at 12:15. So this is my podcast. I'd love these tips, Rob. Thanks for joining me. The best way for somebody to follow up with you is probably right here on LinkedIn, right? Just shoot you a message. You're here pretty frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert Knop. I'm the one that comes up top of the list. So.
And it's Knop. So
yes, just one. It rhymes with the Pope, by the way.
I love it. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us this month for this series. One thing I do have to plug me a little bit. This is a very long link, so don't feel like you gotta know. Just message me. I reference that there's not a lot of training for just being a real human being on LinkedIn. I'm actually running a workshop next month. That's all around how to connect, how to engage, how to actually have conversations. Not trying to make you a viral star, not trying to make you a creepy, lead generator, but just showing you how to be a little more human. So check that out. And everybody, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Bye.
See you, everyone.
Gotta push the button. Nobody wants to stop. There we go. Awesome.